So I'm very excited to be producing today, I should say, with these two amazing presenters, because I'm sure most of you who are here are having the same types of problems I am. Social media is taking over my life. I'm the communications director at a local nonprofit, and basically what that means is that social media is important and also challenging, especially with a lot of the new rules that get put into place every 5 minutes on Facebook or Instagram or whatnot. So I'm glad that we have Charlie and Katrina here to help us kind of get through all of this. Charlie is someone who has done trainings on this topic as well as other digital topics internationally. And Katrina manages one of the most successful nonprofit Facebook pages around. So I'm so excited to hand over the microphone to these two amazing humans. And I'm going to be taking notes fast and furious because I need to learn everything that they have to say. So please give them a hand and welcome them to our session. Woo!
Awesome.
There you go.
We're going to linger over here because we don't have a remote for the laptop.
So hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us. So today, Charlie and I, we're really just going to look at, we're going to share with you guys the different metrics that we use and how we use them to measure the performance of our social media campaigns. We'll also be looking at a framework that we use when we, in our appliance to social media use. And also we're going to follow up with different ways you can make sure you're getting the most out of your Facebook advertising.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and as Ashley said, I've spoken internationally on digital topics, a lot about social media and how we can fundraise from it with the BCSPCA, and I also do a lot of consulting. I'm very grateful that the BCSPCA lets me have that freedom. So it's really lucky to test these theories that we're going to talk about. We've tested them with lots of different nonprofits. I know that we have puppies, so it's very easy to say that it's just puppies. I think we can talk about that on the slide. And yes, I'm very glad. I do more of the digital strategy, and Katrina's more of the day-to-day hands-on.
My name's Katrina. I've been a digital marketer for about 8 years now. I work mostly in the nonprofit sector, so working with different nonprofits in the Lower Mainland. Outside of my work at the BCSPCA, I also do a lot of work in Chinatown. So I sit on a couple of different boards, and specifically at the BCSPCA, I'm the social media specialist. I've been there for well over a year now. And I'm a certified crazy dog lady. I have the certificate to prove it. And I'm also a first-time expecting mom, so I'm open to any advice anyone's willing to share. Ashley, you got something? So to kick things off, we wanted to kind of give you guys a look at how social media can really impact your organization. And in that same vein, really talk about why we were chosen to give this sort of talk. So if you take a look at the graph here, we started off in 2015 spending just under $1,700 on our social media campaigns. And in that year, we raised almost $35,000. Fast forward 5 years, 2019, so we spent just under $70,000 and raised well over $500,000. So I think the number is over 660,000. So that's part of the reason why we're here. We really want to share the different strategies we've used, the tactics we use, also share the different lessons we learned throughout the years, and because we're all fighting the good fight together, so why not share our knowledge?
So like we mentioned, everyone's like, well, you have puppies and kittens, that's easy to fundraise on. It doesn't hurt, but we have tested these tactics with other charities, including voting rights, which is not that sexy, and Goodwill and hospitals. So we've tested this stuff and it is really great returns, and it's definitely about tactics and making sure you're maximizing the Facebook algorithm and using all of your tools and making sure that you're consistent in your delivery.
All right, so before anyone hits the ground running with their social media advertising, there are some things that you need to make sure you have in place first. So just taking a look at some of the baby steps. So of course, you need a Facebook page. This is separate from your Facebook profile. A Facebook profile is your personal account. Facebook page is where your business lives. Then you're going to want to set up a business manager. And just so Charlie and I can get a quick idea of where we're up to, where the audience is up to, can we see a show of hands who here has a business manager, who is using business manager? All right, so a couple of us, sounds good. So yeah, for those of us who didn't raise your hands, you'll want to make sure you set up the Facebook Business Manager. It's what it is. It's a Facebook tool that allows you to organize and manage your Facebook pages. It's a place where you can organize your ad accounts, where you can allow access to different agencies or staff, employees that need access to work on your page. Say if you're like the BCSPCA, we have 37 branches for hospitals, so we have a ton of pages for managing. You're going to need a business manager to organize all those different pages that you have. And some of you who do have, who aren't using Business Manager may notice like, oh, I can do most of those things without Business Manager. But one feature that Business Manager offers you that having just a page doesn't is the ability to invite people who like your content to follow your page. So that's one of the fastest ways you're going to grow. One of the fastest and easiest ways you can grow your following on Facebook. So that feature alone is definitely a draw for Facebook Manager. Yeah, you want to make sure you have your Facebook Pixel installed as well. So let's do another quick show of hands. Who has a Facebook Pixel installed? Okay, so a couple of us, awesome. So yeah, Facebook Pixel is just really a code that you can take from Facebook that you put onto your website, and that it just allows your Facebook and your website to speak to each other. That'll allow you to do things such as retargeting, remarketing to certain specific audiences that have been on specific pages on your website. You'll want an editorial calendar, also known as a social media calendar. Of course, that's not just to organize your content, but you're going to want that to make sure you're keeping your social media feed balanced. And when I say balanced, we'll go into that a little later, but there's a specific meaning when we say balanced. You'll want to have your Google Analytics set up. So our last one, who can we get a show of hands? Who here has a Google Analytics set up? Okay, awesome. So a few more of us, which is great. You're going to need to know your metrics, which we'll go into, and of course, you're going to need a budget to work with.
Great, so Katrina mentioned a balanced calendar. So we call these the 4 A's. Your algorithm, ask, advocate, and acknowledge. So we'll do some examples of these, but this is how you maximize the algorithm on Facebook. If you balance these 3 types of posts within the algorithm, you're going to get a maximum amount. So right now, Facebook is favoring 2 to 4 posts a day. So you want to kind of alternate between these, and that means you're going to be asking people for something every other day, and that seems like a lot, right? It's not. It's nothing at all. We ask people, we do 3 to 4 posts a day, and we ask something of people every single day, and those are some of the most engaging posts because people know what to do. If you give them an action to do, they're going to do it. And ask can be a lot of things. It can be asked to donate, it can be asked to sign up, it can be asked to sign a petition. It means a lot of different things. And acknowledge can be a lot of thank yous to the community, acknowledging the volunteers, acknowledging anybody who's contributing to your cause. And of course, advocacy is all the stuff that you're trying to push and make the world a better place within your nonprofit. So within that, building out your calendar, you can put it all in, and we can send you, if you guys are interested, we can send you a basic calendar to fill out. We'd be happy to send that out to the group after, like what we do for February and how we balance it out. It seems like a lot to do, 2 to 4 posts a day, but I think I would talk a little bit about evergreen content and what you can,
Yeah, so working day to day, so it does seem daunting at first to pump out 2 to 4 posts on Facebook alone. We're also posting 3 times on Twitter, a couple times on Instagram, LinkedIn. So it can feel daunting, but there are ways you can make this work for you. So evergreen content is something you definitely want to invest some time in. Evergreen, in case anyone's not familiar with that term, that's content that generally stays relevant over a long period of time or needs very minimal updating, so something that you can reuse over and over. For example, 3 ways to save the planet. That piece you can use even monthly if it aligns with your mission, your vision. So yeah, that's a little bit about not being scared of posting a lot on social media.
Also, with the algorithm, it's really important if you are reposting. Facebook punishes if you use the same image over and over again, or if you're using stock photos. You want to try and have your original photos if you can, or at least recrop those photos. Each time you use them, recrop it slightly differently, and the algorithm won't punish it as much. Little cheats. Did I think that's nice. Oh, I did want to mention in the last one, sorry, that we're talking about all of this and we're asking what we want people to do, and ultimately you want to get them off Facebook and onto your site. So people are, like our engagement is so high, engagement. Engagement means nothing. That's what Facebook wants you to do, is get people to stay on Facebook. Don't do what they want you to do. You want people to come to your website, you want people to join your cause. So it's really about, the algorithm is just an ends to a mean to an ends. So you really want to focus on that end goal and maximizing. So getting likes and shares puts your post up higher in the algorithm, but they're meaningless and they don't do anything. Clicktivism isn't good for anybody. It's just kind of part of the algorithm. So while it's valuable and maybe if you're fulfilling for a corporate sponsor, they want to know what your engagement was and how many likes it got, it really isn't something you should be measuring at all. It's totally not. I would say if you are reporting on those numbers, don't say they're really meaningless. And so I know we were saying, this talk is really about likes, comments, and shares. But what we're trying to tell you is, no, those are not the metrics you ever want to be measuring. They're meaningless. They only matter to Facebook. So, people are like, oh, what about my brand awareness? We don't, brand awareness really isn't super important for nonprofits in general. People are connecting to causes, and your nonprofit is just a vessel to connect to that cause. I'm sure you've all talked a lot about communication language with donors, and you want to say you, and we never want to say we, us, our, because it's not about the organization, it's about connecting supporters with the cause they care about, and we are just a vessel to do that. So this is kind of part of that. It's just kind of, Facebook is part of that vessel to get people to get connected to the cause, and talking about your brand is not really relevant in a lot of ways.
And for anyone who's a little nervous of letting go of the number of likes or shares or comments they have, just imagine being able to speak to your boss and instead of presenting to them, oh my God, we got 20 likes this week. Imagine being able to say, oh my God, we made $20,000 this month. So just don't worry about it, let go of the vanity metrics, and we'll show you how you can do that.
So we just wanted to give a couple examples of acknowledgements, or an example of an acknowledgement post. So here we had, I don't know if you saw it in the news, we had 17 husky puppies and 4 adults seized from a property, or surrendered from a property. And it was a massive, huge in the media, and so we kept doing lots of updates on where they were at, and we just did a huge acknowledgement and letting people know what's going on with that, and that's really acknowledging that there's a big community out there. And part of what Facebook is about, and Facebook did a massive study on what people expect out of Facebook, and it's community. That's their number one thing. As opposed to Instagram, their number one thing people are looking at Instagram for is discovery. So where you can share content is important, but how you frame that content should be slightly different on those platforms. So acknowledging, it can have, there's many different kinds of acknowledgement. This one particularly was just updating the community and everything that they've done for these 21 dogs I can count. An ask, so this is a very direct ask. We had a dog that needed surgery and we wanted to give it money. We put this out there with a $100 boost and it made $17,000. So, and that is really about targeting to the right audience. So we specifically uploaded an audience that had donated to this type of animal, to this type of ask before. So really, really getting down into the retargeting, using that Facebook pixel, people that had been to, it's part of our medical emergency program, so remarketing to people that have visited that page before, anybody who had donated to that program before, creating a lookalike audience for that, and targeting those exact people. So before, 2 years ago, Facebook's gotten rid of it because of privacy laws, but you could upload your lists and see exactly how many followers overlapped with those lists. And we did that when we could, because we like to invade privacy. And only, at that point, we had about 70,000 followers and only 3,000 were donors. So your audience, your natural audience, may not be converters whatsoever. So it's really a pay to reach the right people. Thanks, Katrina. Some more advocacy can be obviously different things. For BCS-BCA, rabbits spend the most time in the shelter. They, an average of 7 weeks, as opposed to dogs who spend 7 days. So it's really important, although it's not great for the algorithm because not as many people like bunnies, it is really important to our mission. And so putting out, making sure people know that bunnies are up for adoption and then pushing that out to people to know. It is an ask, so we're asking people to adopt, but it's more so about the mission because we know it's not really playing into, people can't do the action on our website, so it's more of an advocacy. And of course, spay neuter programs. And then we have our big algorithm posts. So our algorithm posts are just things that we know is gonna be a banger. If you know things have just taken off on your website, don't be afraid to reuse content ever. Just recrop those pictures. And of course, puppies, cute puppies. That's just, if you know something works, don't be afraid to use it, especially right before an ask. If you play out one that's an algorithm, that's just like a really cute thing or something people have really liked before, do that right before a big ask, and then you've already pushed up your stuff into the algorithm. So I just wanted to give you a little glimpse into Google Analytics for those that aren't using. I think about half of us raised our hands to talk about it. This is something we monitor every single day in your analytics. You want to check out your channels and your social media, and you'll see this is our January results. So traffic from Facebook that's dead is up 135% to our website, and our revenue is up 54%. And we didn't even have a huge increase in spend for advertising, did we? No. We did have one of our biggest campaigns ever for an email acquisition. We did and asked people, there's legislation coming up to include animals into emergency situations, so like wildfire crisis. All of the emergency services provided to people, they couldn't bring their pets with them. The BCS-BCA had to go up north during wildfires and set up emergency shelters for people to drop off their pets so they could go into emergency shelters and not leave their pets behind. So now with legislation, so we did an ask, and I think it was how much money do we spend on email and that acquisition? $1,500. and we acquired 7,000 new names to our system. So we got 20,000 people to sign the petition, which is going to government, and 7,000 of those people were brand new. So sending that out and making sure that if you're using Business Manager, you can make sure you exclude people when you're excluding people that are already on your list, so that you're targeting people that are new to you and that you can now send emails to.
Sounds good. Yes. Yeah. So some metrics to know. So now that we have everything set up in the back end, you have your Business Manager, you have your Google Analytics all set up, it's important for us to really look at the right metrics, what you should really be using. Because when you have the right metrics on hand, that's when you can really measure and look at a campaign correctly. So let's take, for example, the average email value, let's say. You'll want to assign a dollar amount, a value to every email that you acquire. So say, for example, you have 10,000 people on your email list, and with those 10,000 people, you raise $100,000 in donations. So each email, on average, would be worth $10 to your business. So say you're running a campaign and lead acquisition campaign on Facebook, and you're looking at your analytics, you're monitoring them, and you notice that it's only costing you $1 to acquire a result, a conversion. You'll know, like, hey, you're doing pretty good, because you know what your average email value is, and therefore you can even, at that point, you can add more budget into the campaign, you can lengthen your campaign because you know you're doing well. Let's do another one. So average registration value. So say people signing up, if you're signing up for a BMO Marathon or the Vancouver Sun Run, those sorts of registrations, if you didn't know what your registration value was, your heart might stop dead if you see that you're converting at $20 per one registration. But say you knew that your average registration was $200, you know you're actually doing okay, and you can extend that campaign, add more dollars into it, continue to monitor it. How you would find your average registration value is pretty much the same as average email value. So you take all of your registrations, even everyone that's raised $0. So say we have 200 people that have registered, you divide that by the number that they've raised altogether, and that would be your average registration value. So yeah, you just want to always make sure that that you know your metrics going into a campaign, so that way you're armed with the right lens when you're looking at
Cost per conversion.
Cost per conversion. Thanks, Charlie.
So what should be your cost per conversion? What should be your ROI? So every nonprofit is different, and for some nonprofits, a 2-to-1 ROI is great. And if you asked any real, non-nonprofit, real for-profit company, a 2-to-1 would be an amazing return. For us, we bottom out at a 7-to-1, and that is basically because we've run so many experiments that if anything's not returning 7-to-1, we just shut it down. And that is also kind of a magic number because it's that A+ charity rating, which we all know as nonprofits is absolute garbage because they don't actually rate on outcomes, with what nonprofits should be rated on. But as an A+ nonprofit, we're allowed to say that. So the 7-to-1 is really that 15 cents on the dollar. You're getting that return, that A+ rating. So that's really what you want to aim for. But depending on what your other ROI is, you really need to look at where your spending is in your direct mail and your other revenue streams to see what a good ROI is for your organization. And it might be more than 7-to-1, so you might not want to continue a campaign unless you're getting a 10-to-1 return. It really depends on where you're at. And to measure up exactly where you stand in your ROI and where you're at for your organization, I highly recommend the M&R benchmarks. Has anybody, by show of hands, read M&R benchmarks? It's so good. It's really great. The deadline just passed to participate in this year's, but if you do participate, you get an actual custom report that measures you up against your part of the nonprofit sector. So we will get a custom report for animal welfare to see exactly where we stand as far as what our returns are, where we are in measurement of like what we're doing in difference in our email, of where we're getting our return on email, our return on Facebook, everything. So exactly where we stack up. So it's really, really helpful to measure about where you need to invest more, where you're succeeding and where you're not succeeding. So it's a great read.
And it's free.
And it's free.
Free to access and free to participate.
Yeah. So it's really, really important to know when your campaign is succeeding and when it's not. So, hi.
Did you say who is providing such a report? Like competitors between the two organizations? Who's providing that competitive report?
Who's running the report?
Providing that competitive report?
M&R. M&R is a company, yeah. And it's their benchmarks report. Yeah, they work with nonprofits, and it's been running for many years, so they have a ton of really amazing data.
And Charlie, you mentioned that M&R, they work with nonprofits across the world, right?
Yeah, they're global. So they have a lot of great Canadian data, which I know a lot of us read all of the stuff, and it's always US. So, but they have actually great Canadian data. Who knew? Right, we want to do boost.
Okay. Yeah, so when should you boost a post and when should you leave a post organically? So there are two different aspects to this. So first, what we're looking at is when you're trying to reach a certain audience that's not your existing followers. So for example, this paid boost here, we're using the same example, this dog's name is Brownie. We needed to raise money for his surgery. So we know that a very small percentage of our followers are actually converters, are actually donors. So in order to reach a different audience, we had to boost the post. So with this post, we boosted it to an existing audience who've donated to medical emergencies in the past. And of course, like Charlie said, it was extremely successful. So raised $17,000 just with a $100 boost. So that's when you would want to boost a post if you're trying to reach an audience that sits outside of your existing followers on Facebook. And the second aspect you want to look at when you are considering whether you should boost a post or not is, of course, as we mentioned earlier, Facebook wants people to stay on their website. So if you have a linked post, for example, like something evergreen content that's linking back to your website, driving traffic to your website, Facebook is going to not favor that sort of post because you're getting people to exit Facebook. So that's the type of post you'd want to pay for as well, because A, it's driving traffic to your website, and B, there's a good chance Facebook is going to not favor that sort of post. The post,
Katrina, how much should you spend on something like that?
Charlie, how much should you spend on something like that?
So when we say you should boost it, it really depends on the capacity of your nonprofit, but $5 goes a long way because you're reaching the exact people you want to reach. So, and we highly recommend doing it, though Facebook will say, oh, it'll reach more people if you do it for longer, but we highly recommend to do it in a short time span, just 1 to 2 days, spending that $5 right away. If you spend $5 a day on Facebook, I guarantee it will pay off. You should definitely be spending a minimum of that.
Thanks. And you can see on our other side here, we have an example of an organic post that we have. So that is just a photo post. It's just a picture of a cute cat, something that we know will do well in some of your organizations. Something I think that's really popular is quotes. So quotes do really well as well. So those are the types of posts that don't necessarily need a boost, because that's of course targeted towards your followers, and also why pay for a post that isn't driving content to your website. Oh, and while we're on the topic, so when would you say use a boost and when would you create a Facebook campaign? So this has to do with the timeliness of your campaign or your needs. So with a paid boost, that's something that's quick, something that will happen within 72 hours. Anything longer than 72 hours, you're gonna wanna set up a Facebook campaign. That's gonna give you more time and Facebook more time to test different variances, tests such as like create different creative, different audiences, different copy. So depending on the sort of campaign, whether it's a short campaign or an ongoing campaign, you want to adjust your strategy accordingly. So paid boost versus Facebook ad. Yeah.
I'm just curious, if that post, you spent $100 on it, and it generated 17,000, why not spend more?
Because you only have 72 hours. So
Okay.
they actually did a really great study on this. I don't know if you remember the migrant child that they photographed that washed up on the beach. There was a big study on like how long that stayed in the social media, and it completely died after 72 hours. Even though it went massively viral, and then anybody that shared it after that was like done. So we only have a small window, so we I think we initially had $50 on it, and then we upped it, and then it just like kind of blew up, and then it was done. So it's really hard to gauge about how much and when, and it's just, you never know with social media. And to be very clear, it didn't all come in through Facebook. I think that $100, I think it was worth 3,000 directly through this post, and then it was some remarketing and stuff. So still 3,000. Almost worked out. Do you have another question? No. So the hierarchy of audiences is really important because I know a lot of marketers will still try to get you interested in interest groups, and that should really be the bottom of the list. I have worked with a lot of nonprofits in their Facebook and targeting, and I think only successful one that's using interest is Greenpeace International, who is a multi-million-dollar Facebook budget, and it's literally because they've exhausted these top 3 audiences completely. So unless you are exhausting all of these audiences with your multi-million-dollar budget, interests are not that important. Obviously, your previous, so I'm going to use donations in this example, but your previous donors is going to be your number one. So your previous converters are going to be people that come back to donate again. They're the lowest hanging fruit. Next is lookalike, which is a function where you upload your audience, create a lookalike audience. It's all the same traits as your previous purchasers. However, your remarketing audience, which is when you send people back to your website that have already been there, can interchange with your lookalike audience. Because if you don't have a right sample size, your lookalike audience isn't going to be very accurate. So you want a lookalike audience of about 10,000. I know. Or you want that previous audience to create lookalike audience about 10,000 because you're going to get about a 50% match rate on Facebook when you upload that audience. The more data that you give to Facebook, the higher match rate you're going to get. So, which is because they're just a data machine. So you want to upload phone numbers and emails and everything so you can try and get that match rate up. But if you don't have that, create about a 5,000 person data set to create that really lookalike features. Remarketing is probably going to be your best bet because it's people that have already been to your website, already been to a certain page, and can come back. Okay. Any questions about that? No? Okay. So that being said, Facebook is optimized for e-commerce. Their entire platform is about e-commerce. So it's really everything we're talking about is just what for-profit businesses are doing, and we're just reorganizing that for nonprofit. So really trying not to make Facebook work so hard to frame. You want Facebook is what it is and you can't change it, so you just have to adapt to that. So re-looking at your donation forms as products. So this donation or medical emergency donation form is a very specific pair of shoes that appeals to a very specific demographic. So re-seeing that and retargeting that specific donation form with that specific image to those kind of people is really the way you need to frame and think about Facebook. Email signups are products, and you just want to market, remarket, and sell. That's really how you have to look at Facebook, because that's what it's built for and that's what it's optimized for. So using it as what it's for is best. I mean, we have an online store and we do use it just for e-commerce, and we see that everything that we do for e-commerce is how we frame it, is kind of how we frame the rest of it. So every success we see with e-commerce, we just fold that out. Speaking of e-commerce, I worked with a developer to create an open source free app for Shopify that has a tax receipting in it. So, and it's fully CRA compliant, and it's a free app that you can use. Facebook. A really great feature about Facebook, getting people onto your page with content that they're interested in. So all those banger content, that evergreen content, getting people to your page, and then having an embedded way for people to donate right away. That's one click. So right now what we're doing is we built this app with Shopify, and we're embedding products into articles, like news articles. So saying like 1 day of care for an animal, $17, and it's like a 2-click. And then they immediately donate like that, and you have them. So with the free app, and you can use the 1 month free with Shopify to test it. I always recommend piloting with a very low budget. You can test it out with your website, and it's really easy to embed in any kind of WordPress site. You can just embed those and try it out. What's it called? It's called tax receipt.
Is it embeddable right within an actual like WordPress page, or do you have to fill with code?
It's like right embeddable.
Is it like a plugin, or how does it work?
It's no, it's like Shopify has this thing called a buy button, and it literally just, you pick the product and it just generates the code, and you just embed it right in, and then like you never leave the page. All of the transaction happens all within your page. It's badass.
Yeah, they generated code for you, and you put that code onto your website.
Yeah, it's really, really great, and I highly recommend piloting it to see if you can make it work. And even if you could do it for a couple months, having a Shopify account isn't super expensive to just try it out, because you don't even have to set up your store. You could just send up the back end and try embedding it into your website, creating donation forms or just small products. There's a bunch of great apps, but I recommend that one because it's free, and I helped.
And it's been working really well for us. So we'll just post a news story, say on Facebook, something related to, say, a senior dog that's really needing care. So someone will click on that and show that they're interested in that topic, and already embedded in that story will just be a soft ask, like, oh, and if you want to help this animal, $27 will give that animal 1 day of care. So it's a very soft way of getting someone who's already interested, shown interest in a topic, to convert.
And earlier we talked about Facebook and how much money they're making on what platforms, Katrina? 93%?
Oh, so yes, 94%. So Facebook, yes, just came out on their 2019 report. They were reporting that their family of products, so that's Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, 94% of their purchase of Facebook revenue was made on mobile devices. So backtracking to our examples earlier, you saw that we had only cropped mobile screens. And that's because whenever you're posting anything to Facebook, you want to have mobile first in mind, because that's where people are using their Facebook. I know a lot of us, day-to-day, 9 to 5, we're working on Facebook on our desktop, but you gotta have your user in mind. Everyone's on their phones accessing Facebook through there.
I just wanted to quickly go over some lead gen, because it's a super important part of Facebook. The way to really make money is getting those emails so you can contact people that have shown interest. Email is still the lead way to get people into your cause and on board with donating. So we kind of separate them into categories. We have hard advocacy. I don't know if anybody else has used the New Mode tool, where you're generating letters that go to MPs or different things for different bills and whatnot. We have soft advocacy, where we just literally just collect the names to our database, say about like pet-friendly housing, how many people sign this petition, and we'll create the list and talk to government about it, which we do. You have to follow through on these things. We have a mission premium. This is one of our #1 things. If you have a direct mail program, this is an amazing thing to do. We have a sticker, in case of emergency sticker, so it will cost us, it's 25 cents to the sticker, 73 cents for the postage, and then sending that out, and then we get not the address and their email, so we can roll them into all of our other fundraising programs. Knowledge premium, so we have like any kind of checklist that people can print out. We have an emergency evacuation checklist for animals. It's like great to create things during, we re-released it because of Australia wildfires. It's top of mind for people, so we can get that from people. Team Spirit will do like, try to name this animal, or they can suggest names and I'll pick one. It's a great way to just collect emails. Feedback loop is anything where people have shown interest before and we'll kind of remarket. And a service entry point, so people, when we have the 17 husky puppies, we made our adoption process is all offline for the most part, because we want people to come in and meet the animals. They have to meet face to face. But for this one, we did an online adoption form. 17 puppies got 1,200 applications. But we gathered all of the data of those people that have shown interest in huskies, and then we sent those people not only information on other huskies that were available for our organizations. We furthered our mission, but now we had to target them with messaging about us, with an email about huskies, and be like, oh, poor huskies, don't give us money. And of course there's other ones.
So Facebook Fundraiser, I'm not sure how many of you are using Facebook Fundraiser right now. So Canada, so Facebook rolled out a limited version of Facebook Fundraiser in Canada in November of 2018. So it is revenue generating for us. So last year it helped us raise $120,000. Although yes, it's revenue generating, it's not something we necessarily are recommending organizations in Canada to use as their sole or primary peer-to-peer strategy at the moment, because there are a couple of things when I say a limited version that they rolled out in Canada. It's because we can't collect the data that from people who are setting up fundraisers for us, which means we can't steward them, which also means this isn't a sustainable way for your organization to fundraise money, because of course with privacy laws, Facebook isn't allowing us to collect that information. So it's something to keep in mind. It is revenue generating, but don't make it your primary source. How we're using it is, we noticed that one of the most popular ones that people are hosting for us is birthday fundraisers. So once a week or once a month, we'll select a certain birthday fundraiser. We'll share that on our Facebook page, and we'll be like, hey, thank you to Sophie for celebrating her birthday with the animals. And we'll just boost that post for maybe anywhere from $50 to $100. And so it's just something very low maintenance, let people know that it's there, it's an option, but we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket with this one.
And there's a specific audience that you can build that is to upcoming birthdays. So people with upcoming birthdays see that this person is getting all this happy adulation on Facebook, and they're like, I want that too. It is revenue generating. If you're a small nonprofit, there's such mixed feelings about it, because when you don't get that data, it's just not sustainable. So don't recommend it, but we don't not do it. It's $120,000. And that is it. Do we have any questions? Did we miss anything? That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Katrina's first one.
Careful, we're going to bring you back.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I didn't stick my hand
So I'm wondering if there are words or phrases on social media that you avoid because they beef up the algorithm.
Click here.
Yeah.
Share this.
Comment below.
Hmm?
Comment below.
Comment below. Anything where it's like too obvious. Don't do it.
There's still, the jury is out with Instagram when you're using link in bio. People are saying mixed things about it. Right now, it's trending towards not using link in bio because people are saying that, oh, people are intuitive enough to do that, but we're still using it right now because it's working for us still. But yeah, link in bio can potentially become one of them as well. There's a bunch of study as well when it comes to like writing copy for Facebook, like the type of consonants you use, like instead of using like some hard ends, like things that end with a D and a T, using more fluid and eloquent language. But anyways, that's something else. There's a whole different study on that stuff. But yes, hopefully we answered your question.
I have one more question. Maybe two.
So some of these strategies only work for large organizations that have $10,000 or followers or whatever the number you want to put out there is. If you were to start with an organization that has virtually nothing, 3 followers on their page or whatever, what are the 1 or 2 strategies that you would start with?
Lots of image posts. Those are going to boost up your algorithm right away. So you want to do a lot of original content image posts, obviously related to your mission. Really pumping out. You still want to put in the ask, advocate, acknowledge. You still want to put that in rotation because that's immediately going to kind of set your strategy going forward and still give you a good balance. So people aren't getting the same thing. Because if you're just doing advocacy, it gets dull. If you're just doing anything, a single thing. A lot of image posts and making sure you're setting up business managers so you can invite anyone that likes, that you can invite them to follow the page. And do that every day. Making sure you're getting people at the point of interest to invite them to like your page right away. If you do that without business manager, it actually comes up as you personally inviting them, and that's very awkward.
Unless you have like a great network of friends or employees that you can invite to like your page. I think the threshold is like 25. Like once you have 25 followers on Facebook, that's when you get a lot more access to some of the back end stuff. So 25 is a good number to start with. Have family and friends that can help you out with that. Also, you can run small campaigns, like just $5, $10 campaigns where you're asking people to like your page as well.
How does that show up? Like, so if you're doing it with a business manager, it says your personal Facebook account is asking people to, like, inviting them to like your page.
So if you don't have business manager?
If you don't have it, how does that show up for people?
So it shows up as whoever the person is that, I don't know if you know what I'm saying by invite likers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it shows up as like the person that is managing that page. It says like your personal profile or the profile you are working in.
And then the other way around, it's then the organization
Yes.
that's doing it?
Yay.
I'm wondering how you manage having multiple SPCA pages and how that works.
There's the master.
Yeah, so it can be pretty time intensive, but I think if you front load your training with these managers, the different managers at the branch level, that's going to alleviate so much of the work off of me. So we spend a lot of time putting together like a style guide, a personality guide, a commenting guide, all of that, and we work with our managers ahead of time, front loading all of those resources so that they feel ready to manage their pages. So that's been great. Also, on a daily basis, I am going through our feed, and that's looking at, that includes all of our branches, and every now and then I'll catch something. But besides that, because we've we've invested in the training ahead of time. It's just so much easier that way.
What are you guys using for a dashboard? I mean, there's obviously Hootsuite, but is that what you're using? Are you using a paid version or?
So we're using a couple different things. So right now, mainly Sprout Social is what we're using for Twitter. For Instagram, we're using Later, the Later app.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And for Facebook, a lot of it is actually native on the platform we're using. Facebook.
Facebook will punish if you're using outside, like Hootsuite, unfortunately. They will punish. Yeah, they will punish you in the algorithm for using that stuff. You're not using their platform.
When you say punishes your post or your page?
Your post, it'll, yeah. So if you schedule something through an outside platform,
I've got a question for you, or maybe somebody else might know. You guys are lucky enough insofar as you're selling dogs and cats and friendly animals that anyone other than Republican predators might. But I'm wondering if you have any examples of mental health awareness campaigns that aren't done by large organizations like CHMA or Bell Let's Talk, which by definition are harder to get public support for, whereas some causes are a little bit easier to vote against. But do you have any examples besides large organizations that smaller organizations have done around mental health?
specifically mental health, I have
Specifically mental health.
mental health.
Because part of the problem with mental health is the catch-22, right? There's stigma, so people don't go public and complain, and there's no services because no one's complaining, right? So if there's no audiences, the politicians, whether they're PC liberals or PCP, ignore it. So
Well, one of the
maybe not
things.
you, but maybe somebody else in the room might know, and maybe no one does.
And what's nice about Facebook as well is something Charlie touched on earlier was the idea of community. So when Mark Zuckerberg did his talk in 2019 to really present the direction of Facebook, where Facebook was going, he said outright that Facebook groups is where they really want to expand, because that's where you can find your people, you can find your niche, you can find people who love feta cheese. You can find groups on anything pretty much. So I know I'm a part of a group called the Colty Collective, who works with Asian North Americans, and mental health is one of the topics that we have touched on. And through Facebook, we've created different events where we can invite people to come join a conversation. We've explored the idea of creating a small group on Facebook where like people who have some of similar issues can come together and just chat in a non-face-to-face way too. So there are small ways, certain ways that Facebook can help in that way, because groups is definitely somewhere Facebook wants to grow.
And that just on that, that's something that we're all always striving for is content. And that's something we're focusing on, is creating a group of adopters so that they can post in them, but it's really a content generation project so that they're posting and we're getting content. So inviting clients potentially to a page or a closed group that's invite only that has very specific rules about participating and what is and isn't appropriate, and designating a certain amount of time is a great way to figure out what people want to hear about. And although clients and donors often aren't the same thing, so you have to be careful about what you do there. What we do know is that the two triggers that convert are really positive, warm, fuzzy feelings and anger. So the two things I think that you would focus on there are like 10 ways to keep your like positive mental health. So you would have like, click, or not click here, but like check out this article, on the top 10 ways to have a good day kind of thing. So having that positive to get people there.
That's good because on 3 of my sites, the top posts are all positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them are 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So really kind of triggering that and making it really easy and accessible. People don't have a great attention span. And then RAGE, so funding cuts to mental health, publishing your organization's thoughts on that, and then be like, donate to us so we can help. That's really going to be really great for mental health. Sorry.
I can also say that latching onto anything that's like in the news or anything like that is very relevant because people will actually get something like in the news. Another thing, cooperation with other organizations is huge. That will get you like a new audience and like people who might not know about your organization, but they will look at your organization. So Beyond Blue has actually worked with Sierra Red Cross a few years ago, and Beyond Blue had a campaign with Sierra Red Cross, which gave them a lot of attention as well. So things like that can really help.
So if you
Not
get
really
outside, because often in the mental health community, some people it's zero sum.
Yeah.
Give you attention.
Yeah, so
Other outside.
I mean, it's really Red Cross works
Other
with mental
outside
health as well.
industry.
You can go with, like, in the industry, you can also go outside or you can have some relationship. But that will give you a way to use clients or a way to use options. And then maybe probably some data for that. And then part of the data.
Partner with the SPCA.
Yeah.
Animal interaction, that's
Actually,
That's a good
is
idea.
there any data? I have no statistical proof, but being around animals is going to boost anyone's mood that's not a narcissist. Things like that. Maybe even that. Is there any data you found that having a pet has an influence on mental health in
Yes.
general or specific mental health conditions, ADD, depression, anxiety?
There's a ton of stuff on that, and it's very positive.
We should.
We do a lot of projects. We have our downtown east side, Charlie's Pet Food Bank, where we reach out to underprivileged people to make sure that they can still feed and help their animals the best they can. So it's really important, and it's changed a lot of lives to be able to have that one consistent thing that always loves them and they love so much. So it is really important. We work, Green City Housing and lots of different people. We do relief if people are in crisis. They can come and board their animal for free at the SPCA while they sort themselves out. So that's a good. We're all trying to change the world.
Awesome, yeah, final question, go for it.
Cool, thank you. I know we spent most of the night talking about Facebook in particular. I was wondering if you can speak to your social media mix in terms of, let's say, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram from a fundraising efficacy perspective.
Facebook. Instagram stories is starting to, we saw some decent revenue with Instagram stories at end of year because it is the active, just scrolling up, and then we used the Shopify embed. So a lot of people on Instagram use Shopify and they have the one-click checkout. So having that integration was really helpful. We did, we saw an increase. We saw it was a few $1,000s, but it was definitely an increase year over year. We haven't cracked the code on those other ones. Twitter is where we go if we want people to sign a petition. It's where we go with Rage. That's where that belongs. Facebook is about community and giving, so it's just, of course, the demographic is slightly older and has more money. And then Instagram, slightly younger demographic, has less money, but is very into that kind of instance. So if we have anything that's very in the moment, and we can do, and it feeds into the story format.
And Instagram has shown, our audience specifically has shown a threshold. It started to show a threshold for purchasing, so buying t-shirts, sweatshirts, and all of that. So we're starting to see an uptick in that for our Instagram audience. So
it's kind of like
a side to that. It's actually
Whatever, you're a fancy volunteer. You can ask whatever you want.
This is why you all want to volunteer with us. The donation sticker. Have you used it? Have you been able to use it? Like what is
for
the-
Instagram.
Yeah.
So it hasn't, from what we've seen, it hasn't been rolled out in Canada yet. So far, it's in the States and a couple of other countries, but it hasn't come here yet.
YouTube and Instagram are doing really great things in the US. It's just that their threshold for what tax receipting is like way lower in the US, and here it's all very tightly controlled. So that's why they haven't rolled it out here. But that would be the future. We hope it does better. One organization that is killing it on Instagram is World Wildlife Foundation, because they are tagging products. You cannot tag a product unless it's a physical product. So when I said donation forms as products, they won't let you do that for things that aren't actually physically going to be shipped. But World Wildlife Fund has those cute little stuffed animals where you like donate $100 and you adopt a panda, and you actually get shipped a physical product. So they're selling these little stuffed animals for hundreds of dollars, and they actually can tag the product and immediately have an immediate checkout. So they are killing it. Thanks.
Exactly, more things, definitely more things. Well, thank you again so much. Really grateful for you getting involved, Charlie. You're turning into like one of our regulars at this point. And Katrina, you're next.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. So, remember I said you're going to actually have to do some work? Well, I wasn't lying, of course. So there is some work for you to be doing, which is your time to show off, your time to shine. So what we're going to do is basically give people up to 1 minute for community announcements, which means you're going to come up here and you're going to basically, tell someone you're looking for a new job, or maybe you're going to come up here and say like, I've got this awesome gala, you need to be part of it, or maybe you're going to show off your new website because it is hot stuff and people got to see. Let me model it for you. So you're going to come up here and you're going to go like, hi, my name's Eli and I'm with NetSquared Vancouver. We are always looking to build our team. We're putting together a big fancy conference this October. We're going to need people with like marketing mojo. We're going to need people who really are excited about like putting together all the experts and sort of helping in this producer role to help us figure out who our presenters should be. If you're interested in getting involved, come talk to me. I will be at the post-event social, which we're going to tell you about soon, so don't go away. If you're interested, there's a whole row of chairs right up here, so come join me. Who would like to go next? I think there's actually a man named Joel in the audience who's got a really interesting new podcast project coming out, and he should tell people about it. What website should I
Thanks, Eli. Also one of the volunteers here, just stop by the camera. My name's Joel Harrison, and you can go to joelmharrison.com.
Got it.
/podcast. So I have a podcast that I've been doing for a couple of months now, and I'm interviewing social entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and change makers. It's just titled the Joel Harrison Podcast. Very narcissistic, I know, but thought I'd keep it simple that way. So if you know anyone that is a social entrepreneur, they're in the for-profit space or the nonprofit space, but really just trying to have their stamp on the world, make some impact and make some change, let me know. I'd love to talk or love an introduction and potentially have somebody on the podcast as an interview. So let me know. I'm Joel Harrison, joelmharrison.com/podcast. Thank you.
Sound like a podcast.
Nice. Perfect. Who else has got something interesting? How about Jean? Are you doing some interesting projects that people should know about recently? I bet you are. Come on over. And well, Jean's on her way down slowly. Anyone else got something they want to share with the world?
I will tell you.
Come on out.
It'll take me 2 seconds.
So that nonprofit that I alluded to earlier is Options for Sexual Health, which is British Columbia's Planned Parenthood. That's a familiar name for people. Options for Sexual Health, not so much. So next week, we have Sexual and Reproductive Health Awareness Week. If you search SRH Week in my little...
Oh, search.
Just wait while Eli brings it up because it's really cute.
SR something?
SRH Week. So next week, from the 10th to the 14th, is Sexual and Reproductive Health Week. And if you scroll into that little tiny human who looks a lot like my kid but is not my kid. There are going to be bus stops all throughout the Lower Mainland with this tiny human asking, what is a vulva? And we're encouraging people to take selfies with our little friend, maybe with their head where he is, so you're the one asking. So I just want to invite everybody to find a bus stop and share yourself.
Nice, fun. Anyone else got a cool marketing campaign on the go? Come on up, share, share, share. Gene, remember how I assigned you? Come on, come on. And while Gene's getting this, the next tip you can put on your brave pants.
For some of you, this is probably old news, but so I'm with Peace Geeks. We're just at the back part of the hive, and Ian over there at the very back, he's one of my colleagues. He's one of our developers. So Peace Geeks is a non-profit tech. We're based here in Vancouver. We also have an office in Amman, Jordan. So here in Vancouver last March, we launched a mobile app that helps immigrants and refugees to find settlement services in BC. So we won Google Impact Challenge grant in 2017. $750,000 for 3 years to build the app. So right now that we are almost a year in after the launch, we're looking for feedback from users. So we are recruiting testers. So if you know newcomers, if you're newcomers to BC or Canada, you can check us on our social media and sign up to be one of our testers. So we are doing research and trying to get feedback. It could be one-on-one focus group, we'll let you know. And if you are working with newcomers, supporting newcomers, we are also looking for frontline staff's feedback. So check our social media posts in the last couple of days. We posted where you can register and find out more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. So this is the app. It's nothing super fancy, as it's free and open source. The reason we made it free and open source is we're really trying to push nonprofit forward as a whole industry. We're really lagging behind for-profit, and we really all should be kind of jumping on e-commerce format for very different reasons. Amazon and Facebook and all these guys are running thousands of tests every day, and we can barely keep up with a content calendar. So I'll be talking to Eli. We're working on a presentation called Testing is a Lifestyle, and how to work in testing into your organization without being super overwhelming, and how to roll that out into your end of year giving to maximize that. So it'll be super cool and nerdy.
Yay!
But yeah, I hope you check it out.